We're live. All right. I've been trying to figure out how to schedule it, but I'm still working on it. So in the meantime, thank you. Chilling in Canada. All right. Nice. How is it? It's boiling here. It's still really hot. It really is. It's not like super hot. It was 107 for about a week. So at least it's cooled down a little bit. Can you hear me? Can you hear me chilling in Canada? Hi, Verity. Can you hear me? My ears are still recovering from my concert that I went to with Laura. Can you believe that at the Viper Room? Rather be in Maui. Hi, can you guys hear me? Because it's like I'm still echoing in my head. JB808. Hi, Midnight with Magoo. Thank you for reminding me. Yes, welcome you guys, and welcome to Midnight with Magoo. Hi. Okay, good. So you can hear me. It's really odd. It's like my ears have been it's almost like I talk and it goes back in my ears. It's from, I don't know, something happened at that concert. We were too close to that speaker, but my ears are still weird. It's really weird, especially when I talk. I'm okay to hear. Like if you guys talk, I can hear you. But when I talk, it seems really weird. All right, good, Gerard. Good to see you. I know. I will. Thank you. It's good to see you guys. I'm going to be leaving soon, just so you know. I'm leaving. I'm leaving pretty soon, and I'm going to be gone for about 5 days. Not too long. And I'm not sure, but I think I'll be able to still do. I don't know if it'll be midnight with Magoo, so it might upset some people, but because my brother is really good at going to bed early and getting up early. So he wants me to switch to that schedule, which is difficult when you're used to being up at midnight to 1, 2, 3. You know, I will. Thank you. Yeah, it should be nice. But the schedule thing is a little trickier. So I might have to do it in the early evening kind of thing, not, closer, more earlier than midnight, because I've got to go to bed so I can get up and be, on his schedule. Which good luck on that. I mean, I am not an early morning person. Some people are, they really are, and they live by it. And I think it's a healthier way in a lot of ways. I mean, a lot of people promote it, go to bed early, get up early, you have a full day. But I have a full day too. It's just a different day, and I meet different people this way. I like it. So now, rather be in Maui is the last person I can see. Is that correct? Is that what you guys can see? Tell me yes or no. Ooh. No, I don't want malware bites. They just popped up. I lost all my apps over the weekend. Hi, Verity. I'm an early person and go to bed early too. Really? Wow. Because we see you at midnight. So how does that work? Good. I had a catalyst. Cool. And chilling in Canada. I know night owls are night owls. That's just the way we are, and we're comfortable that way. And, many, many writers are all night, early in the morning, and then they sleep. That's just the way we are. But it's going to be tricky going to see my brother and trying to adjust to his schedule, because he's really got his day kind of planned out. So we'll see. It'll work out. One way or the other, it'll work out, because if I can't go to sleep, I can't go to sleep. So there you go. You're in Austria? Oh, you're in Australia. Ooh, it's 5 p.m. there. Wow, that's amazing. So it's 5 p.m. It's almost midnight. It's like 1 minute to midnight on 9/11. We'll have a minute of silence. This is a rough day for a lot of people. It's almost 12 o'clock. Thursday at 5. All right. That's amazing. So it's Thursday at 5 there. Okay. And it's almost in a couple seconds, it's going to be midnight. So we went through 9/11, which was a rough, a horrible day in America. 12 o'clock. All right. Now it is 9:12. Good. Now I'm happier. Hi, Ocean Waves. Hi, YRB. And it's 9 p.m. in Hawaii. Wow. Now it's 9 p.m. Oh, that's right. Because you're earlier. So it's 9 p.m. today. Well, the same day as us. On the 11th, it's 9 p.m. for you. So it's still the 11th. For us, it's the 12th now. It just turned 12. Much love to all the families and survivors of 9/11. Truly. I mean, wow, what a day. And for all the first, the guys that came and helped. And did you guys all know that Scientology tried to sneak in their phone number? Did you know that? Did anybody know that? It was unbelievable. It's 9/11. I helped my friend who came over who was really, really worried. And he was like, what are we going to do? And, there's not a whole lot that we could do literally and rather be in Maui. No, you didn't know that? Yeah, they did. They snuck in. I'll tell you what happened. So my friends, John, his son had killed himself. He was one of the Scientology, one of the 4 that I knew right before I escaped out, who took their own lives. And so I knew death was going to be a very hard thing for him. And he called me up and he was all freaked out. And he said, turn on the TV, look at what's happening. And, and I don't know what to do. And I said, okay, just get over here. Come over here. So we sat out there and he was grieving and so was I. I mean, it was awful. We were watching it on TV live. And he said, I just don't know what we can do. And I said, well, I'll tell you what we're going to do today. And he said, what? And I said, we're going to paint my living room. And that's what we did. Because I figured we'd paint and turn on the news and watch the update and paint and turn on the news. And we did it all day long. But it really helped him get through that awful day. I mean, it's an awful day for anyone. But for someone whose son had recently killed himself, it was just too much trauma for him. I knew it. So I said, let's paint. And so we painted my living room. We'd stop every half an hour and turn on the TV. We saw all the stuff that happened, and then we'd go back to painting, and that was it. That's what we did for 9/11. Okay, now wait. I will tell you about the phone number. When I moved back to my parents, this is YRB, my schedule. Okay, here we go. Let's see. My schedule and theirs didn't match. So each day we had a moment where we would say, what's the plan for tomorrow? Some things I had to attend others skip. Yeah, that's what we're going to do too. He already said that. He said, I've got one thing a day planned for us. And the rest of the time, like, Love It really knows Santa Fe. So she said, I'm going to send you a list of cool places to go, which remind me, I've got to print it out because I'm afraid I won't be able to get the internet access there. If I can, I'll be able to keep making videos. But if I can't, that's what's happening. But anyway, I understand that, YRB. That's a good plan. All right, now this is Scientology deployed their volunteer front group during the Maui wildfires last year. I know that they're always at every emergency. It's pathetic, but thank you for letting us know that. Hey, Miss Withholdy, how are you? All right. So, yeah, keeping busy. It's mostly a good distraction. It was. I mean, for him, he needed it. He really did. I could have watched it, but I knew for him it was just going to kill him. And so, anyway, that's what we did. But what happened is I ended up on the internet, in between, like we'd paint, and then we'd take a break, and I'd be on the internet, and I'm checking it, and all of a sudden I see for mental health, call 1-800, basically for truth. That was their number. And I typed on the internet, that's the Scientology hotline. And all of us got on the phone and called that TV station and said, look, that phone number, Scientology is 100% against mental health, as far as real mental health. And they have their Dianetics, modern science of mental health, but that has really nothing to do with mental health and not what they should be promoting. And they took it right off. It was like, boom, and it was like, that was because I knew their number. Hi, Sophie. Thank you for coming on. I was just telling them about 9/11 and how Scientology tried to slide in their phone number, their 1-800 number for mental health. And so I called the number because I wanted to see what the hell are these people saying. And I hear, Dianetics, Modern Science of Mental Health, can I help you? Or no, it was 1-800 for truth. Can I help you? And I said, are you kidding me? You guys are promoting that you are helping with mental health? And she goes, sure, Dianetics, Modern Science of Mental Health, that's what it is. And I just went, oh, dear God. It was just unbelievable, the delusion. Yeah. How I got drawn in. Thank you for reminding me. Yeah. So basically, I've told this many times, but there's always new people, and someone else was reminding me that, new people don't know about it. So basically, I grew up in Park Ridge, Illinois, which is a suburb of Chicago and a wonderful town. Hillary Clinton was in one of my class councils at Maine Township. We were in like a special class council together, and she wrote that book, It Takes a Village. And I think it was based on Park Ridge because she grew up there too. And it really was like a village. It really was. And everybody did all the parents kind of watched after the kids and stuff. Anyway, long story short, my dad, who was a football player playing for the Chicago Cardinals, and then he went on, this is him, number 44. That's why I have 44, Tori Magoo 44. And Magoo's because he had little eyes, and he used to be funny on TV. He was a broadcaster in the 60s. And so I named my YouTube site after him, Tori Magoo 44. Now, is it blurry? It looks like it's blurry on the thing. Anyway, I'm sorry if I blurred it up. I'll sit really still for a minute. It didn't work. Okay. No, I think it did. Is it okay or is it blurry? Okay, so he makes a lot of money. Hi, Connie B. Hi, Ganja girl. It's a little blurry. Yeah, that's what I think. I think I shouldn't have moved that. Now it's not blurry. Okay, good. So they move up to another suburb north of Park Ridge. And anyway, long story short, I go to college. I leave college. I become a hippie. I end up getting sick, and I go back to Lake Forest. And my parents put me in college again. And my grandfather was a doctor, and he was really a great guy. And so I wanted to be a doctor like him. Because I used to go out with him. He was the guy that helped me become a night owl. Because I'd say, look, if you ever have a night thing, wake me up. So he'd come in and he'd go, all right, Tori, come on, let's go. And he had his little black bag, and we'd go over to somebody's house. And it was always just little stuff. It wasn't like, surgery and stuff like that. It was just like, they needed a shot or they needed antibiotics or something. Anyway, he'd help them, and then we'd come home. And I thought, I love this. It's so nice. He's just getting to help people each time we go out. Okay, so now I'm in college with the plan of becoming a doctor. And I just think there's no way. I have to do 4 years of college, 4 years of medical school, internships. I'm not going to make it. And my friends from high school, they actually weren't even really my friends, but they were people that knew me, and they were Scientologists. And they came in to visit me, and they brought in a Dianetics book. And I said, what do you guys do? And they said, we're Scientologists. Now, they said it like everybody knows what that is, like Buddhism or something. And I was like, well, what is Scientology? And they said, oh, it's Dianetics. Just, you can read it. You can keep it. You can have the book. And it was a hardback book. And I was like, really? And they said, oh, yeah, for sure. I didn't realize that it's all part of a scam to get you trapped into it. And it really is. But I only read 3 chapters, but they were all about clearing someone. And I explained that to you guys the other night about your reactive mind and getting rid of it. And now you're clear. And I thought, well, that sounds pretty close to being a doctor. It's not really a doctor, but it's similar, and you're able to help people and get rid of their pains and upsets and things like that. So I thought, all right. And I had an argument with my dad. He was on the phone and he said, look, go to bed. And I said, Dad, I'm in college. It's 10:30 at night. You know, I'm a night owl. But he never respected that. He was an early to bed, early to rise, and so he never respected that I was a night owl. It was just like, get over it. And I was like, I'm not going to get over it, Dad. So anyway, he said, all right, well, it's our morals or no school. Well, I didn't want to go to school at this point. I wanted to become a Scientologist. So I wrote on my mirror, your morals or no school, screw you, which is awful. I would have never said that to my dad, but I did. I got it I graduated in 1966 from high school, and then I went to Haight-Ashbury in 67, and I think it was 68 or 69 when I got the Dianetics book. And then I packed my bag and I hitchhiked from Chicago to Asho, American St. Hill, which was on Temple Street at the time. And the interesting thing is I really, there's that book Blink that I tell you guys about. It's a really good book, and it's a really good book to read because it talks about your first instinct is usually correct. And if I had followed my first instinct, I would have never been in Scientology, not ever, because I walked up to Asho after having hitchhiked across the country, and I see these huge pictures of the L. Ron Hubbard. And I'm like, God, he looks a little bit like Adolf Hitler, right? So generally, I would have just walked away. But, then they had the Sea Org marching around in those Navy uniforms back then. And I was like, I had just spent 2 years fighting the Vietnam War, not fighting it, but, protesting against it. And I've kind of always been anti-war. So I was like, I'm not really for the Navy. This isn't cool. And they were super organized, and I'm a hippie, so it was just sort of like, what am I doing here? And I should have just said, what am I doing? And left. But I called my friend who gave me the book, and he said, oh, go over to this guy's house. Well, he said, go inside first and ask for John Hildebrand. And I said, okay. So I went in, I asked for Hildebrand, and they said, you can't. He's on course. He'll call you at 10:30. And I thought, right, they're going to call me at 10:30. And this, I think I've told all of you guys. But anyway, long story short, he brought me back to Henry's liquor store, bought some beer, which I thought, well, he can't be all bad. He drinks beer. Because I remember I was a hippie at the time and just out of doing drugs. And so he just, he said, well, what are your considerations? And I said, well, I don't like all those big pictures of that guy. It looks kind of weird. And he said, yeah, we don't either. And I said, in those Sea Org, those people in the Navy uniforms, what's that about? And he said, oh, that's Hubbard's Sea Org. That's not our thing. And he said, what did you really want to do here? And I said, well, I want to be an auditor and help people. And he said, well, let's go meet the auditors. And they were all there at night, in the old days in 69, which is before most of you were probably even born, or you were you're 2 years old or something. But anyway, not all of you. I know some of you are a little older than that, but it was a long time ago. 69 was a long time ago. And back then, Scientology was jumping, and it was different than it is now. I mean, it was fun. There were writers and authors and professors and musicians and just all kinds of people because the hippie movement had kind of burned out because of the assassination of Martin Luther King, the assassination of the Kennedy, and John F. Kennedy, JFK, and so Bobby Kennedy and JFK. And those three, it was just sort of like one lady said, we all went upstairs and did our own thing. And that's kind of what happened. Okay, now hang on just a second. I got to go up because there's a bunch of questions. All right, well, let me just look at the start questions. Much love to the families and survivors. Thank you. for saying that. Thank you. Rather be in Maui. Okay, and Scientology deployed their volunteer front group during the Maui Wall. Yeah, that we talked about. Here's Mrs. Withholdy. Hey, Tori in chat. Hi, Connie. I enjoyed hearing about your dad. Yeah, he was a cool guy. He really was a cool guy. I mean, I was blessed beyond blessed with my parents. I was really lucky. Okay, so you asked what year did I get the Dynamics book, and I believe it was 69, because that's the year that I joined Scientology. Okay, now 49ers for Life says, I watched an interview with Jesse Prince saying that Stacy Brooks went back to Scientology. Do you know if that's true or if Jesse feels like her and Bob gave up? I can't speak for Jesse. I don't know. I really don't. I don't think that's true, but I don't know. You'd have to ask Jesse. And he's on Facebook. You can Facebook him and tell him you read that or you heard that. I'd love to see if Tori has got any old pictures when she was a hippie chick before joining Scientology. I don't think I do, but you can look at almost any pictures of a bunch of hippies, and I look like those guys. Yeah, I had really long blonde hair, and I was a hippie. I was crazy. That's all I can say. How interesting that you came to San Francisco during the Summer of Love. I know. I bet you have some great stories. It was a great time. It really was. I mean, I was with all the bands, all these fabulous bands. And, I could walk down the street from where I lived. This sign, Haight and Ashbury, right? Well, I lived right up the street from there. And I could walk around the corner and Janis Joplin would be there playing in a bar. She'd just be there singing. And it was just like, oh, my God. It was an incredible time. My friend Andrew Crane used to work at the Egyptian Theater, which is right next to Scientology's testing center here in Hollywood. And he would always he was really kind. And he'd always say, yeah, come on. He had a whole group of people. He'd say, I'll get you guys in for free. And so we'd go to all kinds of stuff. And I went one day and there was Gracie Slick, who most of you probably have never heard of, but she was one of the lead singers in the Jefferson Airplane, which was a hot band back in the 60s. And there she was sitting out there with all of her art. She's an amazing artist. And there were 3 cameramen with the big cameras and me with my little, clickety-click camera. And they were playing the Monterey Pop Festival, the movie. And so the producer of that movie was there. And I was kind of going around taking pictures of her artwork, all kinds of stuff. And he said, the producer came up to me and he goes, you're amazing. In the time they've taken like 3 or 4 shots, I think you've got 200. And I said, yeah, probably. And so I told him about Scientology. I said, this is kind of amazing for me. And I told Gracie too. I said, I knew you in Haight-Ashbury, when you, back in the day, and she said, oh God. And I told her about getting into Scientology and in it for 30 years. And then I escaped out and she goes, wow, you have gone full circle, girl. It was really a wonderful meeting of the minds, for both of us. It was very, very wonderful. I had some great times. And Andrew got me into some really cool shows where back then it was called the American Cinematic. Oh, sorry. We already did that one. And we did that one too. And what they used to do is they would show a movie and they would have like the producer or somebody in the movie and the people that starred in the movie would do a Q&A afterwards. Fabulous. I mean, it was fabulous. I met so many great celebrities, and I'm not like a big celebrity freak, but when you get to hear their story and really kind of get to know them a little bit, it's really sweet. It's really neat. I mean, I forget the guy's name now, believe it or not. My son is a big fan of his. And he was the guy that played Churchill. What's his name? Does anybody remember his name? I lost his name. But anyway, he played Churchill. Somebody can look it up on their phone. And he's a little tiny guy. and Churchill, he's a big head and a big man and stuff like that. And so he did a huge Q&A on it. And afterwards, he said, mostly if you have that much makeup, they do it probably for a couple hours, and it's usually a week long. That's they'll shoot it in one week, so you don't have to do that much makeup. But he said for me, it was a month, and it was almost 6 hours a night to get the makeup. Because he said, why? Because everybody knew Churchill, so it had to be perfect. If I had like one dot on my face that Churchill didn't, they'd know it's me. Let me look and see if anybody said his name. Oh, I hope you did. Let's see. Oh, neither one of you. Can somebody look it up and see who played Churchill? Come on, you guys. Somebody can. Oh, I can't remember his name. Somebody will. Come on. All right. Well, anyway, I'll go back to the questions. Summer of Love. Okay. Tell us more about when you were a weed-smoking, LSD-taking hippie, and were your parents slightly happy when you got straight and in? No, my parents didn't want me in Scientology, and my dad died shortly after that. After me getting in Scientology, me smoking weed and doing LSD. My brother got me into LSD when I was even before I got to San Francisco. And he was really cool. He said, you've got to have a safe space. You've got to be with good people, that kind of thing. Never do LSD without that. And it really worked for me. Any of the LSD trips I had were always really good. They were really wonderful. And later I heard Steve Jobs talk at, I think it was Harvard graduation, and he talks on and on about how great LSD is in changing his life. And I wouldn't say it changed my life that much, but it was definitely an interesting ride. It was. And mostly I loved all the bands. It was just wonderful being around all these incredible creative bands. So it was pretty neat. But and I liked the grass back then. I don't like it now. I've tried it, and it's just like, I don't like it. It's just, back then it was fun. It was happy. Gary Oldman. Thank you, Aaron O'Brien. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That's exactly who it is. Gary Oldman. Perfect. I can't tell you how much that means to me. Thank you. Because it's difficult when you forget something. And and Sophie, all right, thank you. Yeah, Sophie got it too. Anyway, thank you guys. So what happened with Gary Oldman, just so I finish that, and then we'll go back to me being a pot smoking LSD person. Anyway, there's not a whole lot of stories. It's just, you can watch any movie on the Summer of Love, and that's me. I was in that. Dancing around, partying, having fun. That was it. That was my thing. I was going to do it forever until it ended. And then, okay, now what? And ended up whatever, back in Lake Forest and back in college. And now these guys come in with the Dianetics book, and I think this is much better. Not realizing how bad Dianetics and Scientology were. Now, wait a second. I got to... Sophie, can you undo Aaron's thing here? Or do I do that? Do I click on it? See, if I click on it, for me, it doesn't do it. And I don't know where it is. Oh, there we go. All right, so you've asked that. Yeah, it was Gary Oldman. So what happened? Let me just tell you the Gary Oldman story. So I'm out in the Aero Theater, and they're showing Churchill. And I love Gary Oldman too, but I knew my son would just die if I had a photograph with him. And so he's coming across the stage. This is after the show's been, and I'm thinking, this is me. I'm such a knucklehead. I'm thinking, wow, he really gained a lot of weight. And then all of a sudden he comes up at the end down the audience, and it's like, and here's Gary Oldman. And he's a little tiny guy, right? He jumps up on the stage, and it's him. And I'm like, wow, what a difference. And most of the Q&A was talking about the whole transformation of makeup and becoming Churchill and stuff like that. So now afterwards he goes, okay, so that's it. So they end, and then people, can I get your photograph? And so he's kind of going along the stage. I'm on this end of the stage, and he's kind of going along the stage, taking photographs, signing autographs, signing autographs. He's kind of getting down here, and he's like almost to me. And then somebody goes, Gary, on this end. And he starts to turn around and run back. And I go, wait, Gary, my son absolutely adores you. Can I just get a quick photograph of you? And so he turns around and comes over and he goes, sure. And he's a really nice guy. So he leans over and I try to do this selfie, right? And I take it, and I don't want to waste everybody's time. There's all these other people that want to get his autograph, photographs, everything else. So I take a really quick one and I go, okay, thank you so much. And he goes, well, wait a minute, let me look at it and see what it looks like. And he goes, nobody's going to know that's me. And he jumps off the stage, and now he hands the camera to another guy. And he says, you take a picture of us. And so we're both there. And I have it, a picture of me and Gary Oldman. And it's so cute. I mean, it was just so sweet of him to do that. It blew my mind. It really did. It's in my photograph somewhere, but it's me and Gary Oldman. But that's what happened. But I thought it was so funny that he looked at this blurry thing and went, nobody's going to know that's me. And he jumped off the stage and handed it to some other guy. And he goes, you take the picture. And we get this photograph. So anyway, that's my story of Gary, which now I totally forgot how I got onto it completely. I don't even remember. I think I was telling you about, the 60s and meeting the lady, at the Egyptian and from the Jefferson airplane. And so then I remembered the thing with Gary Oldman and meeting him. And it was just like kind of wild. It really was. But they're really nice people. Okay, so let me go look at the starred things. You were 10 in 1969, Connie? Oh, that's so sweet. I love that. You were 10. Okay. I got to show everybody this. I was 10 in 1969. All right. Okay, now here's from Verity. Comment, I think your first instinct was always in the back of your mind, maybe subliminally, that made you question. Maybe, I mean, I think you're right, but boy, I sure didn't. They're good. See, that's the other thing. That's part of the trap. They surround you and they love bomb you. That's what they call it. They people who know cults have written books about it. Margaret Singer, Steve Hassan, different people like that. And they talk about love bombing. And it's amazing. I mean, imagine 200 people coming up to you and going, Connie, oh my God, you look fantastic. And you're like, really? It's just like, I've never had anybody be that dramatic about it. Anyway, it kind of works. It does. All right. So here's Andrew B. I always know I've stayed up way too late when I see Midnight with Magoo is live. Happy to see you. Okay. Well, we'll try to keep it sort of short. So you thought L. Ron was weird at first, but what really convinced you that it was for you? Had you tried other religion before that? Yeah, I was a Buddhist. I thought, I was into Buddhism. And then Scientology, Hubbard stole a lot of stuff from Buddhism. So it sort of feels like, this gels, right? I never liked Hubbard, not ever. I never was a big fan of L. Ron Hubbard. I always thought he was kind of a blabbermouth. He reminds me of Trump. He's very similar, just narcissistic. It's all about him. Everything, he could do no wrong. I don't know. I didn't trust the guy. I didn't. And anybody who has up those gigantic pictures of yourself, I mean, they were like as big as your biggest windows in your house. They were huge. It was really obnoxious for a long time. And it was just sort of like, and he had those pictures where, I don't know if you know this, there's a name for it, but you walk by and it doesn't matter where you are, he's looking at you. Like you could be over here and then you're here and then you're here and all the way he's looking at you. It's very spooky. I mean, to me, it was like, ew, this guy's really weird. So no, what convinced me were the people. And I wanted to be an auditor. So those were the two things. I wanted to be an auditor and the people. And they had good tools in the beginning to train me to become an auditor. And I thought, okay, this is going to work. And the people were fantastic. And they really were for all the time I was in there. I think they still are. I honestly do. If you're watching and you can't talk to me because I'm declared suppressive, I still think you guys are cool. I do. And that includes my ex-husband. I mean, I know he's scared of me because he was always kind of frightened of SPs. But, you know, he was a wonderful person. And I really wish he'd get out of there and take his life back. I really do. I mean, own his life. You know, go back to Chicago and have a good rest of your life. Okay, so anyway, the only religion I ever tried was Buddhism and Taoism, those two. And I wasn't like really serious on it, but I was reading them and studying them. Okay, Connie, I absolutely loved the hate when I visited San Francisco. I was wowed by getting to see a place that I had only seen in pictures. Loved all the shops. Yeah, it's definitely changed from what it was, but it was so cool back then because it was so creative. You know, everybody was, all the stuff that's in the shops now were people coming up with, look, I tie-dyed this shirt. You know, be like, really? How'd you do that? Oh, come on inside. I'll show you. You know, it was like beads. People were stringing beads. They were outside stringing beads. You know, it was amazing. You know, it was kind of like earrings, you know, people were making them. It was just, music was being created all the time, all kinds of different stuff. Instruments, new instruments would show up. It was an amazing time. It really was. So yeah. Yep. Go ask Alice. Exactly. All right. Comment, my parents both hippies and both born in 52. All right. So I'm older than they are, but I'm happy they were there. All right. And thank you, Sophie. Yeah, that was it. Gary Oldman. And thank you, Adrian. He is a great actor. He really is. And Sophie, yeah, he's a brilliant actor. He really is. It was really an honor to get to know him. And it was so sweet to have him say, wait, let me look at that. Nobody's going to know that's me. And have him jump off the stage and take a picture with me. It was like, oh my God. I thought my son and I are going to die. You know, it was too fun. I was born in Park Ridge, Illinois, raised in the area. You're inspiring, love watching. Ah, Aaron, that's so cool. You've got to send me an email. Now, let me give you my email just in case. Here it is. It's up here. It's under Tori Magoo 44 for more about Tori. It's in there. So you can always look it up. But it's just my name, 44 being my dad's, who played for the Chicago Cardinals. He was number 44. And send me an email. We definitely have to talk. I mean, do you still live there in Park Ridge? Oh, I'm so jealous. Okay. You were born in Park Ridge. Wow. I was born in Kansas City, Missouri, but I was raised in Park Ridge. Well, thank you. I'm glad I'm inspiring. That makes me feel good. That's so cool that you met Gary Oldman. He really is one of the best actors and very private. I know he's very private and he's very sweet and such a nice guy. I mean, isn't it amazing that he jumped off the stage? I mean, you should have seen everybody around me. And it was like, what the hell is this? And I was like, hey, you know, I don't have any magic powers. I just asked the guy for a photograph from my son. And I think it was because it was so bad. That's when he jumped off the stage and handed the guy the camera. He said, you take a picture of us. I cracked up. It was like, what a great guy. Did they make you give them all your income? No. you know, everyone, that is a good question. This is from Aaron. Okay. No, I wasn't part of the Sea Organization, first of all. The Sea Org, second of all, the Sea Org doesn't have an income. They have $35 a week. I think it's a week. It might be a month. I don't know. It's a very, very small amount of money. They get room and board, and it's a slave camp. I wasn't part of that because they kicked me out because I have epilepsy, and I ran out of my medicine, which I just got a refill today, but for 90 days. But I ran out of it, and so they kicked me out. So I was public, and public, no, they're not going to take your income. I mean, we ended up giving them, yeah, because they're regging you going, Tori, you really need to do the next level. That's what's going to help you. And it's like, okay. And so, they did, in that sense, they did take a lot of money. I mean, they owe me $1 million per their policy, because L. Ron Hubbard said, if they don't like it, get rid of them, give them their money back, get them out of here. So that's a policy. And I didn't like it, and I left, so they owe me the money, and that's about $1 million. Perhaps Aaron wants to know about the cost of courses in auditing. You can Google that, Aaron. I don't have that at the tip of my tongue. It's like I was different than a lot of people because, no, we already answered that. Because I co-audited my lower bridge. So a lot of people pay for that, for their Scientology is like a triangle, right? And let's say clear is here. So all this below it is the lower bridge, which is, communication, problems, I don't know, they're secrets, different things like that you're it's like talk therapy. That's what it reminded me of. But I wasn't going to pay for that. I thought, forget it. I'm training as an auditor. We can just co-audit. You audit me, I'll audit you. It cost us nothing. Not nothing. We had to pay for the CSing, which is somebody looking and saying, okay, this is your next thing that you do. But it was nothing like buying it in the church. It wasn't at all. I mean, we were in the church, but we weren't buying it in their professional HGC, which is the Hubbard Guidance Center, I think is what it stands for. But anyway, so I co-audited all of that. Someone gave me, because that's goes from grade 0, grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, grade 4. So I was up to grade 4 co-auditing. Now one of my friends gave me the power, which is 5, and briefing course package. So there was that. And then clear, I told you, I never really believed in clear because I have epilepsy. And the actual definition is a perfect memory, a perfect IQ, no somatics, no pains. Well, that leaves me out, babe. So I was just like, forget it. And then Arthur Hubbard, one of L. Ron Hubbard's sons, took me to lunch. I don't know why. Don't ask me why. I have no idea. But he did. And he said, so what's your story? And I told him, and this was before this term had ever come out, last lifetime clear. I'd never heard it. But I told him my story, and he goes, you're a last lifetime clear. And I said, what does that mean? And he goes, you were working with my dad. And I said, well, I thought Dianetics came out in 1950. And he said it did, but he was doing research before that, and you were part of the research, and that's what happened. And somehow something went haywire, and you ended up dying, and now you're back, and here you are. But you're already clear from last lifetime. And he just told me that. I mean, which you never, ever, ever can say in Scientology. You never are supposed to evaluate for another person in any way, shape, or form. And here's Arthur Hubbard telling me, well, you're clear. You're clear from last lifetime. So I'm like, okay. So I went in and tested the clear. And they went, okay, there you go. Your needle's floating. Thank you very much. You're clear. And everyone's like, wow, Tori, that's so great. You're clear. And I was like, okay, whatever. I didn't feel any different. I really didn't, because it just was sort of a bogus thing. He gave me a reason to get through it. I wanted to get onto OT3. So that I did a multi-level thing for years, selling Slender Now, which was a protein drink that helped you lose weight. And my PC, I was auditing in the HGC at Celebrity Center, came in one day and he said, Tori, here's a drink. I want you to drink that and try it. And I'm not going to get, I didn't want to get him upset. So I'm drinking the drink and I'm like, oh yeah, this is tasty. And he's like, well, this will help you lose weight and get healthier and you can make money with it. And I said, really? And he said, yeah, come tonight to a meeting. So I went to a meeting and it was all about how you could do multi-level. And this was back in the day. Now everyone, not everyone, but a lot of people well know that it's very culty and, you know, it's sort of a scam unless you get in right at the beginning. And we were at the beginning. So I made a ton of money. I paid for OT1, OT2, OT3. I paid for all three of those with my multi-level business. So there was that. And let me see what you asked me. Yeah, I know they do sound terrifying. Isn't that the truth? It really is. They were terrifying. That's a good description of them too. Thank you, Sophie. All right, so this is chilling in Canada. Did you live in a communal environment when you were a hippie? Yes, I did. Well, for part of it, I didn't because I had a boyfriend and we lived together for a while. And I had really long hair. And I don't know, it just, do you remember, do any of you remember Twiggy? Do you ever remember, you can Google it, Twiggy. But she was a lady who had longer hair and then she cut her hair really super short. And I don't know what happened. I just decided that he couldn't really, anyway, I don't want to get into it. It's just I cut my hair. And so it went from long hair to super, and his name was John Thorne Thompson. So it was TT and everybody called him TT. And I was Tori Christman. So he called me TC. So he'd always be like, hey, TC. And I'd be like, hey, TT, how are you? So he walked in and he goes, hey, TC. Or he goes, hey, how you doing? He just walked in like that. And all of a sudden he stops and he backs up and he goes, TC, what happened to you? And I said, I cut my hair. And I knew that would be the end of it. And it was. So I moved out. And then, then I was in a communal environment with a bunch of hippies. And that was fine with me. We had a good time. So there you go. Answering that question. Now here's Sophie. All right. Can you explain more about the difference between when you got in and how Scientology is now? It seems more hostile and militant now. Super. Lots of people were searching for alternatives in the 60s. That's right. That is absolutely right. And yeah, it was a completely different time. It really was. It was fun. People were creative. You know, it was like people were looking for other solutions. And remember, back then, Hubbard was researching. There wasn't a bridge to total freedom. He had done a bit of it, but, there was a long way to go. And so, we were all kind of on the ride of we're learning and researching with LRH, right? And it was a lot of fun. It really was. I mean, I talk to Spanky about it all the time, and we're like, it's so different now. It's so militant and grumpy, and nobody looks happy. And, back then it was a party. It was. I mean, people were having a good time. I mean, as well as doing the bridge, but they were having a good time socially. We were working. It was like everything seemed good. It really did work for a long time. And then, I think right before Hubbard died, things really started turning around. He started turning around. He got kind of screwed up and started turning around. And then Miscavige totally has turned it into a disaster. So people are not looking for alternatives in Scientology, that's for sure, anymore. But they were. So thank you, Sophie. Question. This is from Jennifer Arnold. Do you currently have any contact with any under-the-radar members? Do you have a feel for how good or bad the morale is like for most members? I don't really know. And probably if I did, I wouldn't tell you because, then they'll just hound me and they'll hound them. And so I'm not going to get into it. But uh, the most I'll say is that I did run into a few people years ago. This was actually before COVID. I ran into some people that said, "Oh yeah, we're out. No, we're not really doing it, but we don't want to lose all our friends, so we go to course twice a week." That's for you, Miss Garbage. That's unbelievable. I just couldn't believe it when I heard that. It was like, you gotta be kidding me. These people are going to course so they don't have to lose their friends, so they don't get declared suppressive. It was like, wow, unbelievable. But I think so. I think a bunch of them are still in, but they're not really in. Do you know what I mean? I know my ex-husband, he was a wreck after OT8, and every OT8 I know is a wreck. So they're not doing anything. What are they going to do? They may be faking it, but they're not really in it. Not really. You can't fake it, Harold. I know you, and I know, no way. And Yachty, the fact that you know all this stuff that we know and you don't come out, I don't get it, man. I really don't. I got to have a little talk with you every night, just a little bit. You're a man who's been on the internet. You've read all the stuff that we've read and more, and yet you stay in. And I don't get that. I really don't. Miscavige is a nightmare. The church is a mess. You're an auditor. You're a class 8 auditor. And David Miscavige changed the definition of FN, where Hubbard said, just glance down at the meter, see if it's floating. And if it is, and the person has good indicators, say, thank you very much, your needle's floating. And now Miscavige has changed it to it has to go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And then you can declare it an FN. When that happened, I was at Flag and I went in to see the DP. I said, what the hell is this? Because Hubbard had a thing. Are you waiting for the meter to play Dixie? And he said on it, don't stare at the meter. Watch the PC. Look at the PC, which is a pretty clear. Look at the person's indicators. See how they look. And if they look like they're happy, say, good, your needle's floating. Make sure it is, but, that's it. Not anymore. They're just there like this. And you go, well, I had a really big win. It was a really good session. Thank you very much. That's a red tag in Scientology. That means you are screwed. That means you have to go to review and get it fixed. Why do you have to get it fixed? Because their stupid David Miscavige changed the definition of FN, or whoever's underneath him running tech, but he allowed it. And now nobody has an FN anymore. Oh, what a mess. And that people stay in that? Are you insane? What? On which planet would you stay with that kind of stuff? I don't get it. I really don't. Good morning, Tori. Late to the chat. I see. Hi, Hans Christian Schwartz. And Fluffer Squirrel. Hi, sending my best to all, listening while getting some bits done. Good. Sophie, question. All right. Tori, what did other people say their clear explanation was to you? You can't. Nobody can talk about it. You're clear. That's it. There's no explanation of it, unless you mean once I'm out, once I left, and everybody's. I haven't really. That's a good question. I guess I should ask them. I haven't because I don't care. It's not that I don't care. It's that to me, it's what I told you. It's a money-making scam. And that's it. So and there are people that really are out and they think they're clear. There's a lot of people that think they're clear. And I'm like, I'm not going to bug them and go, that's not really true. It's like, it's not true for me, but I'm saying this is based on my experiences. if they think they're clear and they want to go that route, that's up to them. It's not something that I want to get into. I don't want to hear it. I've heard it enough from people that are like, oh yeah, I'm clear, I'm OT, and I'm like, are you nuts? Are you serious? Which part of OT are you? What is your OT win? You tell me. What's the guy's name that was going to pay? And now CFI is doing it, Center for Inquiry, where they'll pay $1 million if you can really demonstrate an OT power. And the other guy had it. James Randi, I think was his name, and he offered $1 million for years, and nobody ever came in and did anything because they don't have them. It's BS. So I can't really say that I've asked people, what are your explanation of clear? Because I don't, it's like either they know like I do, it's a bunch of BS, or they think they're clear, and then they've got their whole explanation of how they're clear, and it's very difficult for me. It's just like, no, I'm not going there. I don't want to get into it with them because I just don't. YRB, you did the wholesale plan for the lower courses. Do you think that puts you in a different social strata in the eyes of other Scientologists? No, what put me in the eyes and really what put me in the eyes of other Scientologists was epilepsy. Because L. Ron Hubbard writes, I'm somebody with neurological illness, which is my friend Spanky Taylor, who has MS. That's a neurological illness. All gays, we are all 1.1, covert hostility, which nothing could be farther from the truth. If you knew me or you knew Spanky, both of us are way outgoing and talking. We're not 1.1. 1.1 is very covert, hostile. Oh, you finally got a new blouse. How nice. It's not me at all. So people who think that, you need to learn the tone scales. But in my eyes, it wasn't because I co-audited. They actually have most of the people I knew were auditors. So they had a lot of respect for each other for us co-auditing the bridge. It was like, why pay for the thing? We thought it was cool. And the rest of the people that are just paying for it, that's a whole different group of people. I don't care. I didn't need to be with them. Not my bag. I came from that area. I know it. So there you go on that, YRB. But it was mostly because of epilepsy and medicine. People would say all the time, how can you be a Scientologist? You're taking medicine. And I'd say, have you ever had a seizure? No. Okay. When you do, you come talk to me about my medicine. And in the meantime, bye. And all the time, I was just like, off my list, off my list, off my list. I mean, I was just like, no, don't come talk to me about PTS. Don't come talk to me about some SP. Don't. Because early on, it was like, this is a bunch of shit. And it still is. Here, now I have my SP declare to prove it that I'm an SP. Well, guess what, Scientology? That's pretty fucked up when you think about it. You're supposed to be able to fix somebody. I was in without being an SP. I was in as an auditor, as a good, healthy Scientologist. And you guys never could fix it, ever. Nothing worked. And it isn't because I didn't try. It's because it doesn't work, period. It might help psychosomatic things, but like my mother said, epilepsy is not a psychosomatic illness. It is a physical illness. There you go. Okay, now this is from Hans. Now that's a blast from the past. Very popular fashion model in the 60s and 70s. That's right. And I cut my hair like hers. And you should have seen John. Oh my God. It was like, what happened to you? Question. What was it about auditing that appealed to you? I told you, my grandfather was a doctor. I wanted to be a doctor. What was it that you thought worked to help people? It's like, I knew I wasn't going to make it through college and medical school and internships. So the next best thing for me was this. I figured, probably 4 or 5 months and I'll be an auditor and I can help people. Now, you're not factoring in that it doesn't work. And actually, the lower bridge for a lot of people did work. I mean, it did, it's just like anything. Like I became a book one auditor, which is book one is Dianetics. And so I would fly around and do these seminars on Dianetics. And Hubbard says you have to take every single chain from the beginning, from present time, all the way back to the basic on the chain and for it to erase. You mustn't cross chains like this, right? Like, let's say you have an upset with this, and this is somebody, you hurt yourself or whatever. They're different chains. You've got to do them one at a time. So I'm in Chicago. I see this young kid, I'm walking around the room doing the seminar, and I see this young kid auditing this older Black man. And he is just going chain to chain to chain to chain. He's just crossing all over the place. And I think, oh, dear God, I'm going to have to iron all this stuff out after he finishes. So I hear him finally say, well, that's it. End of session. And the guy gets up and I said, could I talk to you for a minute? And we go in another room and I said, so how you doing? And he gets these big tears in his eyes and he goes, that was the most wonderful thing I've ever experienced. And I thought, there you go. This is when I was in. But I thought, there you go. What really happened? Someone listened to him for an hour. He'd never had that before. So that's kind of like, the lower bridge, some people have wins, some people have bigger wins. But it's not bad. The bad part comes with the OT levels because they don't work at all. So what appealed to me was helping other people. And I thought it would work. Okay, so question. What was it about OT8 that makes people so crazy? The fact that it's a triangle, OT8 is the top. I've never done it, so I can't speak from experience. But having watched my husband and other OT8s, I think, he never told me this, but I think they get to the top and they have no powers. All the way along, you're supposed to be getting more and more OT, right? But the truth is you're actually losing abilities the higher up you go. The less you can speak to people, the less you can read, the more you get in trouble if you go talk to somebody that they don't want you to talk to. It's bad news. And now you get to OT8 and realize it's just more OT3 shit. And it's like, oh, come on. It had to be awful. It did. And I know he was a wreck. And bonus, let's not forget, everybody underneath OT8 thinks you can walk on water. Why? Because David Miscavige had the event we all were ordered to go to, where he announced the Berlin Wall went down because Scientology released OT8. So that's in their head, right? The Berlin Wall went down because of OT8. Oh my God. So by the time Harold came back from OT8, which was my husband, people were like, he'd be like writing out a check and they'd go, wow, you have to use a pen to write a check? I thought you were OT8. He'd be driving in a car. They'd go, wow, you have to use your hands I thought you could just intend that the car goes. And that's what would happen. And I mean, people really meant it. They weren't just being snide. They were like really surprised that, what about OT8? I thought you were supposed to be able to be cause over matter, energy, space, and time. That's what L. Ron Hubbard promoted, right? So when you get there and you're cause over nothing, you can imagine how that would screw you up. So there you go, Sophie. That's it. Hans Christian Schwartz. Okay. Sophie, probably because you're thrown into a vacuum knowing you cannot go further up. Well, that's another portion of it where there's nothing more. But I honestly think at that point, they're not going to get him to do more. It's like too much of it hasn't worked for too long. Okay, YRB question. Is Bill Yachty, it is, still in because he was one of the early members of the MLM? No. Is he getting a big payout? No. No, he was never in the MLM. No. First of all, let me write his name just so you can all see it. Here it is. Bill Yachty. There you go. Can you see it? Let's see. Did it go up? I don't see it. Maybe it went up at the top. Nope. How weird. Why won't? Oh, there it is. Tori Magoo 44, Bill Yachty. Where is that? No. All right. Well, anyway, that's how you say his name. He was not in the MLM. He was an auditor at the Enhancement Center, which is now the Church of Sherman Oaks. And in the morning and in the night, he worked with OSA to try to handle the internet. Okay, YRB. Okay, there you go. And we already answered this one, and we already answered that one. There you go. So does anyone have any? Oh, wait, here's another one. No. Okay, here's Acer211. All right. Were you ever contacted to be interviewed for the Going Clear documentary or the Aftermath documentary show? Yeah, both. Going Clear, I'm in the book. So my name is in the book for Going Clear with Lawrence Wright, which Going Clear, the movie, is based on the book. I wasn't contacted with Going Clear to be in the documentary, no. But I was, the Aftermath, I was interviewed by them, and I was there for the final day. All right, Fluffer Squirrel UK, Power Lines to Paralyze, made a fantastic short video on how auditing and OT levels can induce psychosis. Wow. Power Lies to Paralyze? Is that the name of it? Can you write down the actual name in parentheses of what it is? Because I want to see it. And where can we see it? That sounds really good. Thank you, Fluffer Squirrel. Okay, so it's called Power Lies to Paralyze? And where is that at? Where is that at, Fluffer Squirrel? Where can I see that? That sounds really good. So let me know, Fluffer Squirrel, on that, on where I can find that. The self-hypnosis for 40 years plus, OT7. I don't see how anything good can come of that. Exactly. Yeah. Well, I never did it, so I wasn't really self-hypnotizing because I mainly was flying my roots, meaning I'm pissed off that I'm on this level. I've written to David Miscavige. All I get back is, okay, continue. I'm ticked off, and that's all I would do. That's what I did for 7 years. I mean, and then I left. Okay, what the fuck? The Berlin Wall came down because of OTAs. That is what we were told. And believe it or not, it was like, you can't talk to each other about this stuff. So you can't come out and go, that's bullshit. I mean, we did on OT7 with the Buddhist monks who came and said L. Ron Hubbard was the original Buddha. And they were all in the Buddha garb and everything. And there was a big event Miscavige had, and we all had to go. And we watched it and we heard them. And they said the reason why L. Ron Hubbard is Buddha is because of TR3. We don't have that in Buddhism, which is just repeat the auditing question a million times until someone answers it. I'll repeat the auditing question. Do birds fly? Thank you. I'll repeat the auditing question. Do birds fly? And you just keep asking it until they answer. So they were saying that was why L. Ron Hubbard was Buddha, which is such horse shit. It doesn't stink any more than that. It's like, oh, please. So we all walked out. My friends and I walked out then and went, come on, somebody paid those actors a lot of money to do that. We talked about it. But early on, with the OT8 thing, and well, that wasn't that early on, but it was just one of those things where it was like, no, we weren't going to talk about it. We all had it in our head. We knew it. It was like, oh, please. That is pathetic. Miss Scavenge, you are one pathetic human being. Okay, I think I answered everything. Yeah, because I answered that. Fluffer Squirrel, I still need you to let me know where I can see that. I really want to see that show. Question, I was comparing Scientology to an MLM. Oh, this is the one about Bill. Oh, I sent Tori the channel. Okay, good. Thank you, Sophie. Oh, good. You sent me the channel? All right. Okay. All right. I already answered that about Yachty. Okay, so there you go. That's it, fans. Did everybody hit the like button? You got to make sure we keep our like things up. And if anyone hasn't subscribed, or if you can, guys, bring more people in, because that would be fun to have some, bring some new people over and introduce them. And let me know if there's something you guys want me to talk about. Do you have any topics, like the three of you now that are here that I can see is Hans, T, and YRB. And I think Fluffer Squirrel is hiding in the background. But anyway, do any of you guys have anything that you'd like me to talk about? If you do, you can send me an email or tell me on one of these things. Just say sometime, would you be willing to talk about blah, because that really helps. It really does. Different subjects about Scientology, and questions that you have or comments that you have, anything. Okay. All right. So there you go. That's it. Thank you, Sophie, for being the moderator. I greatly appreciate it. And let's hope Lovett is having a wonderful time on her way to Greece. That's exciting. So life rolls on. So next week I will be in Santa Fe. I'm probably not going to make that many more Midnight Magoos because I've got to get ready. And I am bad at packing and everything. And like I get all freaked out when I have to leave. What if I forget this or that? Anyway, so traveling isn't my easiest thing, but I'll get through it one way or the other. And I'll try to do, let's see, today's what, Wednesday? Now it's Thursday. So now it's kind of like Thursday morning. And it's too hot still to go out and protest. So I will probably be on somewhere. I'll come on. I'll do it. But it'd help if you guys told me what you want me to talk about. All right, there you go. Meantime, thank you for coming. Thank you for swinging by. I love you guys, and I hope you have a fantastic Thursday. All right, there you go. Over and out.